So I am starting to actually put back my pedal board, which I have not been looking forward to. What's staying on here is my Digitech whammy. That's not going anywhere. The Nemesis is my delay, my digital delay for really long, bendy delays. And I had the Pigtronics Ecolution from like 10 years ago or whatever, and it finally is having some issues. So I'm going to try to get it fixed because I really dig it, but they don't even make it anymore. So I'm not sure if it's fixable because it seems like it's a chip problem or something. Anyway, this green pony, I might put the JHS tube screamer there. This slow engine is my swell sound because I sing. I don't really like having to try to do swells with a volume knob while I'm singing or a volume pedal. So that might be getting replaced with the Attack Decay by Electro Harmonics. The bigger one, not the Pico. This Boss ES8 is definitely staying because I don't like tap dancing anymore. The Chord, I might get replaced with this. I'm not sure. But anyway, so this video is part 1 of a series I'm going to do where I'm rebuilding my pedal board basically. And the first thing I am doing is seeing which fuzz pedal goes on here. I always had this black Russion for a long time. That was my fuzz sound. And then I built a green Russion clone, but it was like it was smaller than this, but you know, it's really good. I think this is better, honestly, but it was still good. I liked it. It just was, I guess, couldn't get as bright, even, you know, they're not known for a bright sound anyway, but it didn't cut through the mix. But then I got the HoofReaper, and that has a lot of mid-range. The Big Muff and the other Big Muff, they're both kind of scooped sounding. So I would crank them, and I don't know how many times the sound guy was like, "Oh, turn that down." I'm like, "That's the sound, though." You know how we are. That's my fucking sound, bro. But anyway, I had the Black Russion and the Fuzz Factory as my 2 fuzzes forever. I had the other one, the horizontal one, and I used it basically for feedback and just gnarly sounds I would do, because when you turn your pickup off, you're still getting a signal, this weird ass signal going through your amp, and you could get some really cool, I used to get some really cool things. So I always dug it, and I dig the fuzz itself for certain parts, not for an everyday thing though. And then the Gas Giant is brand new, and I did a video on this recently. I'm putting that up to the comparison here. And this is for me, but this might be helpful to anybody else, but bear in mind it's for what I play and what I'm looking for in my fuzz. And all this stuff's subject to change, because once you throw in the rest of the band and I start practicing again with my band, then we have issues, right? So then we see what really works at what volume with everybody else. That's what this first video is about. I'm going to use this thing to do some comparisons. All right, so I have everything set up. I'm playing through a Fender Deluxe Reverb 68 reissue, a DePinto guitar with humbuckers, going through the aux box. What's on the screen right there is what I'm using as far as cabinet and microphones. I'm using the Joyo PXL8 for a loop switcher, so I can just hit one button and I will have my pedal, so I don't have to keep messing around with the pedals themselves. So A is the Big Muff Greenie, B is the Gas Giant, C is the Black Russion Big Muff, and D is the HoofReaper from Earthquaker Devices. Here's my clean sound. All right, so that was a power chord type of thing, just to see, you know, I just want to hear the differences, try to get the levels a little bit better. It's really hard because the Gas Giant is voiced so different compared to the other ones. I feel like these three, the Big Muffs and the HoofReaper, are somewhat close, you know, in their voicing. That being said, the Big Muff and the HoofReaper, the Black Russion and the HoofReaper, are really close to each other when I have this shift where I have it. If I change this shift, then you'll have more mid-range depending on where I put it. So that makes this mad versatile. Plus the octave, Jimi Hendrix kind of octave thing happening, and then this other fuzz on here. So we'll mess around with that in a second. But now I'm going to play something simple with like chords and open notes, drone notes in there, so we can hear how they all behave that way. Okay? Let me turn this one off. So as you can hear, they once you start dialing them a little bit different, you know, changing something like the green. Once I put the tone knob up a little bit, you had a little bit more of that, little bit more grit in that higher mid range. When it was in the middle, you could hear a lot of weird low end stuff happening. That's all subject to change when you are dealing with different speaker types, and different amps, and stuff like that. The real test would be playing live or playing in practice with the rest of the band. But I do know that as much as I love the green Big Muff, it gets lost in the mix, especially because my wife uses a green Big Muff, like the original one, for bass. So sometimes these things can get a little muddy. The Black Russion is scooped a lot, and Sounds great on its own, but it can get a little harsh. I do feel like I've always had to crank it live for me to hear it. And most of the smaller rooms that we've played don't really like when you crank a big fuzz pedal in them. The sound guys tend to frown. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember that happening as much in the 90s, but as the years have gone on, you know, they just don't like that stuff. Anyway, I digress there. The Gas Giant has its own little thing happening. I really feel like this shines on bass. I've done a video recently on this pedal, and don't let it fool you with these pedals next to it. This thing can do some really cool stuff, especially when recording, and especially on bass. I really like it on bass. It holds the low end really crazy. So I feel like that's where this thing shines, and I'm going to, have my wife try it out next time we have band practice. Yeah, the HoofReaper, it's a beast. I mean, I was revisiting this thinking that I probably will keep this on the board, but I still wanted to just test things out just to see where I'm at. And I find that this thing is just so versatile because of this shift knob. You noticed as soon as I went to the left, I got a lot more mid-range, all the way down to maybe 800 or something like that. And those areas really can bloom out, give you more articulation in your chords and, notes other than power chords, and then also can really help fill out the mix in a band setting, so you're not just getting lost and you just hear like the top end and the low end. They kind of, when that happens, you mix it with the bass and then it kind of can disappear unless it's like a lead or something. But when you're playing chords, it can disappear. In some cases it's kind of cool when it morphs and all that stuff, but for a lot of stuff, though, it can be unusable. So, anyway, that being said, I want to show you these other portions on the HoofReaper, which is the octave and the Reaper, because these things, that plays a whole different role in the decision making. So, check this out, all right? And yeah, so I always used to play with the Big Muff and the Fuzz Factory, and I would kick this on when I wanted some crazy ass feedback. So I'm going to show you that real quick. Whoops. So you see what I'm saying? That unruly, morphy type of stuff is what I'm into. You know, certain songs that I write are more geared towards like a shoegaze type of thing. And then some things that I write are closer to like a stoner rock type of thing. And sometimes I delve into some black metal types of riffs as well. So the point being that I need my fuzz to kind of go in between these things. So when I want them to be heavy, I can get that. But when I need to have chords, but have it still kind of on that bloomy kind of, you know, thing, I can get that, you know. And yeah, so it's this thing can pretty much do it all for me. And it's just one pedal, 2 less chords that I have to worry about, or 1 less chord, whatever. This is really for me, but I'm documenting this journey because my channel has been about messing with guitar pedals and just trying different things and pushing different things to their limits, and you know, using them with other things other than guitar and everything. So I figured, why not? So if you're into it, subscribe, hit the like. If not, you know what I mean, go find another channel that does blues licks or something. I don't know what to tell you. But if you're into this kind of stuff, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell, because you know, I'm going to be putting this thing together over time and documenting it and putting it on the YouTubes. And, you know, if you're into it, you'll see what goes into my thought process and putting it together. And it's been something I haven't wanted to do in a while, but it's time because I want to start writing some new music for my band and all that stuff and getting that started. We'll start with me having just a pedal board that I know I'm going to write with, and boom, this is my sounds. So, yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye.